things. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition, today's edition of the Magical Human Show, Friday the 13th, the Divine Feminine, and I've forgotten, are we full moon or new moon?
Full moon.
Full moon, full moon. I should know this. Claire, tell us where we are astrologically.
Astrologically, we are expecting a full moon in Gemini on Sunday. And at the same time as we have our full moon in Gemini, Mercury stops being retrograde and goes direct in Sagittarius. So, what we can expect from that is some kind of pondering over the meaning of life and our place within the meaning of life. And kind of, it's an elder moon. So, this is the full elder moon. So, we're talking about the 13th forbidden tree moon. And this is very much about release and transformation. So, as we kind of wend our way towards winter solstice, which is going to be next Saturday, not this Saturday, Saturday after. This is really the final gasps of just establishing what we are letting go of to burn on the ceremonial fire on winter solstice. So it's quite a poignant time, really. And people are generally feeling pretty antisocial, and the streets are quite quiet, and there's a lot of illness around. And it's interesting because Gemini rules the lungs. So deep emotions reside in the lungs. Actually, that the deeper parts are ruled by Cancer, but Gemini is certainly the breathing, the kind of communication planet. So a full moon about communication, really, the kind of coming together of kind of things that you need to communicate. And Sagittarius is all about truth. So there's a lot of aspects in Sagittarius. So we're all about speaking our truth. There we go.
There is a bit of an influx of flu at the minute. On the hospitals in the UK flooded with flu at the moment. So that's a lung thing, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Um,
The less said on that, the better.
I could say lots about that, but I'm going to restrain myself. Solstice is next Saturday, not the one after. You
No,
said
it's not this 14th.
20th.
No,
Right?
it's the
21st.
I call that the next Saturday. This Saturday is tomorrow, and then just wanted to clarify that next Saturday. What kind of things would you suggest if people were wanting to celebrate, if they aren't fully pagan, witchy kind of people, some gentle solstice celebrations?
Well, it's the rebirth of the sun. So it's the sun making its return journey. So
Lots of candles.
the rebirth of light. So looking towards the light. And I don't really have an answer for that because I think everyone should be fully on board.
They should find their own way, is what
They,
you're saying.
well, no, I don't mean they should find their own way at all. It's just the fact that there are these native traditions and things like that. And I think that people should honor them because by following the wheel of the year, it helps us to connect with the land upon which we live and it makes us feel better. And it's really good for our kind of whole well-being. So spirituality is a critical element to wellness.
I'm very much looking forward to lighter mornings. I'm not into this getting up in the morning and it's pitch black.
And coming home
Especially
from
with a
work and
child
it's
who's an
pitch
early
black
riser.
too. It's just dark at both ends up here.
I don't mind so much in the evening. I like closing the curtains and putting the lamps on and locking the front door and thinking that's us in for the night. I can't wait to get my pajamas on. So evenings I don't mind so much. It's the morning. I like to start the day off with light.
Mm.
I'm
I'm
not
getting up, Tamar.
So my alarm goes off at 6:30 because the child likes a nice gentle morning before school. I don't get up until 7 when the cats want feeding. I'm not naturally a morning person. Only when I'm a parent, I have to be a morning person. So I'm asleep early. My natural rhythm is up later and sleeping later. Maybe when I'm retired.
Mine too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, you get to do what you want later. Just hold on to that thought. Yeah.
Counting down the days, June.
Yeah, well, you'd think I would be able to do what I want right now, but I'm not yet, really, still. But yeah, it's dark here at 4 o'clock. That's not even evening. That's middle of the afternoon. It's just dark. It's not as bad as Sweden, which brings me to my next point. Today is St. Lucia's Day, or Sancta Lucia,
And what is
we
that?
say
Give
in
us a little background.
Sweden. It's lots of candles.
Okay.
Oh, St. Lucia light, I guess.
Yeah,
Lucia,
yeah, of course, of
yeah,
course. It's
light.
originally, I'll just read from the the Scandi Kitchen newsletter. Brilliant.
I love those
I
glasses.
don't need these on,
No,
really.
wear them. You
They're
do look a bit
ridiculous.
like Jeff Goldblum from The Fly.
I like, ah, but they are really good for your eyes when you're doing, I've been on the computer and the phone a lot. So in the early Julian calendar, St. Lucia Day generally fell on the same day as the winter solstice. So it was marking the end of the cold winter darkness, although it was still lots of cold and darkness to come. But, up there it's dark like 23 hours out of 24 in the
Ugh.
winter. It's harsh up in the north. The Catholic Saint Lucia, which was originally a Sicilian saint, along with the pagan demon Lucy, Lussi, which kind of makes you think Lucifer, make up what we today celebrate on the 13th of December. Yes, Lucy nut means loose is not. Night. I mean, sorry, slapped
Like
his
that.
into Swedish. Um, yes, supernatural is at play and animals can talk. I've got a robin in my backyard that keeps coming in to talk to me. It's so cute. Every time I go out there, it comes hopping right up to me like, hello.
Wow.
That's
And I
nice.
thought maybe it wants me to feed it, but I don't know. It just seems to want to be around a human. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's an ancestor.
They
Do
do
you
say, don't they,
think?
when a robin comes to visit, it's a loved one from the afterlife coming to say
Well, a
hello.
lot of people say that.
Mm.
But do you think they could take turns using that bird's entity?
Maybe.
Because I thought at first it was my aunt who was the one who always said, get out in nature more, get out so outdoors more. And it seemed to be encouraging me to be in the yard and stay out there doing things. And then I wondered, well, what if somebody else might want to come and talk to me through this little being? So I'm just chatting away. And I gave her some nuts and seeds the other day, but then I thought, rats,
Mm.
seagulls, they
They would
might
they
all
speak
turn
to
up
her?
as well. So I'm a bit nervous about that one. But anyway, she seemed to like it at first. She took a nibble. So Saint Lucia of Syracuse died in 304, is the patron saint of light and sight. Ah, here we go. And she's often depicted carrying her eyes on a plate.
It's a bit dark.
Mad. Um,
Mm.
And she's also the patron saint of electricians.
That's
So they say some mad things in the Scandi Kitchen newsletter. I love them. But they are also sponsoring the Lucia Fest, which is at the York Minster tonight. But there's no more seats available. And I was going to be watching Korean dramas with my friend. Somebody gave me this mug, which you can't quite see. There you go.
I am not addicted to Korean drama, but I can't read the rest of it.
I can
Okay.
quit, but first, let me find just one more episode. Is this your latest obsession, Jude?
Somebody knows me really well. Everybody knows me really well. Yeah, so that I thought was interesting. And Heather Ensworth was talking about this full moon being important for us to connect to our eighth chakra, which is the one up there, which you can't see my hand, but it's up there.
It's
What
supposed
do
to
you
be
do to connect
there.
to that?
Yeah, no, the seventh is there, and the eighth is your arm's length above
Seventh is
you.
there, but then you've got, I thought the eighth was just a few inches, and then you've got one above that.
Oh, there might be, but she said it was the your
One
arm's
above
length
the head.
above. People say different things, and Nancy Rebecca said this full moon is about connecting to our sixth chakra. So anyway, but Heather's
How?
was really
But
interesting because she was talking
how
about
do we do that? How do
the
we do this? Before we move on, how do you connect to them?
well, I don't rightly know. I mean, I
Claire?
think you just meditate on it. I don't have.
You
I'm just
literally just
reporting.
connect it. You just even having the thought of it,
Just
even us talking about
thinking.
it now, you'll be thinking about your third eye and you'll be
Yeah.
thinking about this spot and wondering what it looks like, what color it is, what it's
Mm.
doing,
Yeah.
nothing more than that.
Yeah, and it's our higher self. So, you want to listen to any messages that might come, but it's about balancing the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. said Heather. And it's like we're kind of going back to how we were in the age of Taurus, getting more connected to the earth, which would be lovely. So yeah, getting in right relationship with ourselves, each other, and the planet sounds good.
Well, elder is about the duality. So maybe that's what she means, because she's American, or is she Canadian,
No,
or
she's American.
she's American, so she's in a different, they'll have a different name for this moon. But if in our
Yeah.
world, elder world, that means it's about the duality, it's about the balance, it's about the balance between shadow and light, not necessarily masculine and feminine, but I guess it's duality in
Yin
everything.
and yang.
Yeah. It's
Mm,
balance in perhaps everything.
mhm. Well, somebody said it was a pink moon, or did I dream that?
Well, elder does have red kind of,
Hmm.
I mean, dark purple berries, which create this beautiful elixir that's dark, rich purple that
Yes. Oh, I've got to put that on my list to take down to London.
elderberry.
Elder syrup, I've got it made. It's just in the fridge. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what else have you been turfing up, June? Because that's really interesting about St. Lucia.
That is, isn't it? And I would like to one day go to that festival. It's right there in the Minster, but it's all booked up weeks and months in advance. Well, it's the year of the wooden snake coming up in the lunar calendar, but that's not till the end of January. So we've got time to talk about that next time.
It's
Um, but
quite,
that is quite interesting because it also is about balancing things, and it's yin wood and yin fire. So it's very interesting in that respect, and I don't really understand that because that's coming from a different acupuncture tradition to mine. It's the stems and branches tradition. So I'm going to go on a seminar on the 29th to learn more about that because there's no end to the learning. She says here in the introduction to that seminar, while wood invites steady growth and renewal, because as we're getting to spring, we're moving into the wood element anyway. Fire increases its intensity and clarity, creating a year that encourages mindful introspection alongside purposeful action.
Hmm.
So I guess we should all build lots of bonfires.
Well, yeah, and you could argue that Mars being retrograde in Cancer and Leo is all about that as well. It's like putting
Mhm.
kind of more consciousness around action and coming from a more heart-based place around where you put your energy.
Yes, indeed. You remember Pam Gregory's Sunday 7 p.m. meditation about sending love out to the world, just collectively doing that without any organized thing. It's just we've got to remember and do it. Well, she suggested we do it every night now at 7 because things are intensifying, as we know. And a lot of places need a lot of healing. So if we can send some love and healing to the people who are getting swept up in things, the people who are doing them and the people who are being done to, both, I feel that they all need something.
I don't feel comfortable sending healing to people without their permission. I'm much more comfortable sending healing into the energy lines on the earth for people to call upon should they require it.
That's much the best way. Absolutely. We can't direct it at anyone in particular. It's a
Yeah, because we
general
don't have their
thing.
permission. And also that's their timeline, that's their learning. It's like an
Mhm.
interference that is not necessarily in their best or our best interest. I think
No, you're
people,
right.
and I'm worried that people need to spend more time sending love to themselves, to be honest with you, and appreciation for themselves and under self-understanding. This self-inquiry business is, needs to go on for quite some time for people to really appreciate who they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people are getting battered by bad news and feeling they have to do something, but they don't have to do something. They have to just go inside and be still and do their own work. Yeah.
Exactly, because that's just a way to distract them from doing their own work. And if we stop feeding the wolves, then the wolves will die of hunger. So it's kind of like we feed the wolves and we go, oh my God, this is happening. I need to send all this energy to this. And it's like, whoa, you haven't sent enough energy to yourself. What are you doing? And also, you're sending dirty energy because you haven't done the work.
If you're worried and sending worry, you're sending
Mm.
worry rather than
Fear.
love.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. That is true. That is true. I mean, there's also this potential rift happening in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Tell us about this rift.
I don't
I
know
don't
this.
know whether I want to now, given. Yeah.
Really hasn't hit
Tell
TikTok
us
yet.
about
I don't
the
know
rift.
about it.
Come on.
Well, apparently the Earth, I mean, this is what I'm saying is it's about sending love to the Earth, really, more than anything, but we're all connected. Um, Apparently there's going to be a rift opening up in the middle of the Indian Ocean, which is precisely where my daughter is. And there's going to be some kind of massive volcano and hole and gas, noxious gas coming out of it. So this is a bit disturbing. So I have to really try very hard not to be sending worry and telling her, be prepared, do not go outside. If this happens, you stay inside until the gas passes away and be prepared. They haven't got any food in their house because they always eat in the staff canteen. So they're going to have to either eat cat food or get some supplies in.
Can I ask what the source of this information is? Where is this information coming from?
Ann Tucker is a channeling medium type person. She said this 4 years ago, and at the time it was they didn't know when it was going to happen. And she said it again recently, very briefly. So yeah, it could be imminent, but it could also take another while. And selfishly, I'm hoping that it's after my daughter and her husband leave for Thailand.
Yeah.
But then there's all his family and all the other people, and and all the creatures, all the beautiful sea creatures.
But it might not be in the way that you think it is. So you could allow this to happen, but in a very gentle way that's actually really constructive. So
Well,
it's
again, we
not.
can't interfere, can we? We just have to observe. What was that meme that was on Instagram recently? And I saved it and I reposted it. Observe, do not absorb.
Yes, very true.
Yeah,
Very, very true.
got to keep that one in mind. Yeah, so yes, lots of contemplation and resting. That's what the winter is for. For
And
those at the
Tamar,
other end of the world, they in the middle of summer, but for us up here, it's
winter, winter.
mm.
You're very quiet today, Tamar.
I am, like I said, raw dogging. Haven't prepared anything for today at all.
Well,
I'm counting down. Oh, go on.
off the top of your head? What's come up?
Dad. Um, so I'm kind of conscious of our privilege of that we can go in and look at ourselves and work on ourselves and our own energy because people that are in the middle of the conflicts don't have that privilege. So I just kind of want to acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for Mercury retrograde to end. It's been a shitty week, counting down till Sunday. Very looking forward to Christmas, but I like the run up to Christmas, the kind of the anticipation and the excitement part of it. So it's coming too quickly for me. I want a bit more time of this because once it's over, then I'm like, oh, now it's going to be dark and cold and wet until the spring comes, and that's the period I struggle with. I like this bit. So it is happening a bit too quickly for me. Not quick enough for my son who can't wait for school to be done. So how many more days? Because it's really late. They're right up until next Friday.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a long, long term for
Yeah,
me.
my granddaughter as well. It's her first year, well, it's her first few months of school.
This
And
term's always the hardest.
I'm thinking she's going to be quite tired. But that make her hysterical.
Yeah, it will.
She might be bouncing off the walls because she's so tired. Yeah.
I've just done a family constellations session, and when you do the family constellations, which I'm sure you know about. June's nodding, so I'm guessing you both know about family constellations.
I
No?
know a bit, but no,
Dynamic.
elaborate. Yeah.
In a brief nutshell, Bert Hellinger came up with the principle of the fact that everyone that we are related to carries a morphic resonance, like like epigenetics, where things move through the generations. We know this. We know that we carry ancestral energy, and programs repeat, stories repeat, etc.
Mm.
And when you're doing the family constellations, you are placing your relationship people, your key people, into different positions around you, which can be played out in a group situation with strangers or with plastic Lego people, as I've just done. And it's just interesting because the people, if you're playing in a group, people end up channeling, and you get an awful lot of information and perspective on relationships you didn't previously understand. But it also helps to channel and clear things quite quickly, so it can be done in a session. And one of the things that is relevant to what you said, Tamar, about feeling gratitude about the fact that we don't have death over our shoulder, in the family constellations setup, Bert Hellinger says that you're much more successful when death is literally at your shoulder, because that pushes you to survive. That makes you basically live. Whereas if death is too far away from you and something that's so nebulous and not even close to you, then you start to become lazy and disconnected. So
Complacent.
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word, complacent. Yeah, and I think Tamar was probably saying exactly that. We shouldn't be complacent, weren't you? You were saying that really, I have a load of books from when I did my mentoring training about death and people living as though death could happen any moment. And I think because it could. And I think this is the thing. We don't have it externally threatening us visibly right now, but it could, any of us could go any minute. And I think we need to bear that in mind. Being a proper Scorpio, I think I have to bring that up.
Yeah, well, you're most comfortable with it, aren't you, June? But I
Yeah,
those people, what I'm suggesting is those people aren't, we can look at them and think, oh, it's terrible, but maybe their quality, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but maybe that living with that is not as bad as we perceive it to be. I mean, because their lives are much more real. They're like, why are you sweating that small shit? Just get on with it. Do you know what's going on for me right now? And it's like people don't have time to get caught up in, oh, did I offend you? What happened? It's like, no, we've just got to live, we've got to survive. And there's something about
yeah.
humans where we perform better when we're like that, as allowed to have the time to navel gaze, and then we overcomplicate things. People get very offended, and it's just like, wow, what's going on there? And I think
Mhm.
our culture has got a bit like that. It's a bit,
Mhm.
Something about the lens through which you view the world, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it really only can be through this lifetime that you're observing it, really, unless you have connections to your other lives and your ancestors, and if you've got channeling abilities and that kind of thing. But mostly that informs the way you live this particular life now. I mean, that's what we're here to do, isn't it?
A lot
I
of
think.
hearing.
One of my work colleagues has recently been having, is it womb therapy? Called womb therapy? She says it was ever so good, and it's about clearing past stuff and things that hang over, and it sounds amazing. I don't live anywhere near her though, so I don't think I can access it, but it sounded really interesting. I just wondered if any of you knew anything about it. I know very little.
Did
I've
you
had
say wound or womb?
Womb.
uh, wound healing. Yeah, I know about both of those things. Um, Yes, I have had my womb done, and it is very interesting. It's the same stuff, though. It's clearing, it's recognizing that the womb is like this cauldron of creativity, and the fact that it carries all this energy, and then that's the sacral chakra. That's where we relate to the outside world. That's the chakra that manages that. So it's very important, and so clearing it and connecting with it is another good way to be healthy, really.
Mhm.
But people do ceremonies like womb, you got me at it now, June, womb healing ceremonies. So I wonder, did she do a ceremony, or is she doing ongoing womb work?
Ongoing one-to-one sessions.
Ongoing womb work. So I guess the person must be putting her in touch with her womb, and she's discussing how it makes her feel. Is it more somatic than?
Sounds like it, yeah. Yeah, she wasn't feeling very well this week. They cleared an awful lot this week. It left her feeling a bit raw, I think. It just
Yeah.
fascinated me.
Yeah. Well, this is about this energy, the body holding on to this energetic resonance of unprocessed emotion. And it's like, tapping into that and then allowing the body to reveal what it wants to show you, whether it's in aches and pains or colors or smells or whatever it's doing, it's
Mm.
fascinating.
Yeah, I've been doing a bit of that myself this last few days, and I felt really the difference in my body, but then I didn't let myself sleep as much as I should have done last night. And so yeah, but it's interesting because there is a lot of energy around, and wasn't yesterday some kind of portal again? I mean, I'm getting like overwhelmed with portals. Every time you turn around, there's another flipping portal. But this 12-12 thing, and I just felt incredibly joyful. And I
Oh,
was busy just spreading love and joy, and came home and I worked really hard, and I went out for a meeting and a meal with friends, and then came home and did loads of stuff and just kept going. I just kept going, and I just didn't feel like sleeping.
well,
I'll probably crash soon.
on the build up to a full moon, it's known that it's more difficult to sleep. So that's
Yeah.
just because there's more light in the sky. And, this is your time of year, isn't it, Scorpio? So it's kind of
Mm.
like, I know we're in Sagittarius, but it's still kind of,
Still my, yeah.
yeah, so you've got a bit of that going on. That's so interesting. The portal completely passed me by. The portaled by me, and I didn't poodle in the portal. But I did have a problem yesterday. I didn't have a particularly nice day yesterday, and a lot of things went wrong. Not the first major thing that went wrong was my car on the way to where I was going to get my computer fixed. My car stopped working properly, which really unsettled me. And then the computer turned out to be okay, which was a complete win. And then the car sorted itself out, which was also a complete win. But I think the car went wrong to say to me, don't go spending when you get to the other end of this journey, which is what my intention was. Don't waste any extra money on shit you don't need, because I was thinking I can't spend any money on anything because I don't know what I'm facing bill wise. And so I came back very chaste. And then the car worked fine. And I was like, that's so weird.
So now your things are teaching you lessons.
Everything is speaking to me. Dear.
Everything's
I live in
teaching
a
you a
world
lesson.
where
Oh
everything
my
has a
goodness,
full
yeah.
do.
Oh, it's so true. So
Mm.
true.
Well,
Yes. I'm slowly clearing the things in my living room, and it feels so much better. I'm finally getting organized. But I've just plugged in the printer from the clinic and it won't switch on, so I don't know what that's about. But I'm leaving it alone. It's moved into a better place. The table is tidy and clear of piles of stuff, and the piles on the floor are shrinking. I've
brilliant.
got a plan for more storage, so I always feel better when I've got a plan.
Yeah, well, this is also the time for breathing in those new dreams. So Elder is about that release, but also about bringing in, starting to have consideration for those seeds. What are you going to basically produce next
Mhm.
year? What do you want to plant? So there's a magic of that as well.
Potatoes.
Pardon?
Potatoes.
Uh,
Feeding some potatoes. I'm going to grow some potatoes next year.
Yes, yes.
Magical potatoes, which will be like Jack and the Beanstalk beans, which will take Tamar to a different dimension, fly one of these portals, possibly a rift in the middle of the ocean, disappear into a hole, and find a whole new world.
Speaking
Receive
of
total enlightenment.
portals,
Yes.
did you see there's something in the news? I didn't read it because it's about religion. I'm not interested in that. That the Pope's going to open a load of portals on Christmas Eve.
Oh, apparently there's something about ringings of bells that have signified that somehow.
It doesn't feel very
The
Catholic to
bells
me.
at Notre Dame apparently meant that. I'd forgotten that. That kind of whizzed past my eyesight. But, this is the thing. We pick these things up even though we don't look for them. They come bumbling along and fall into our consciousness. And then we've got our brains are littered with all these random bits of information that may or may not be true. Who knows? I don't
Maybe
know.
it's that's interesting because that's almost like saying that the church is finally admitting that magic does exist and different dimensions, and they're going to start sharing some of the knowledge they've been sitting on for the last 2000 years. So that's quite momentous. If
It
that
is
is indeed
really.
true. Did I
And
tell
all
you?
their secrets are coming out.
Well, the labyrinth at Chartres Cathedral, someone I know went to have a look at it, and she was like, said to the monks there, "Why have you covered everything in chairs?" And they said, "Because we don't want the general public to be able to know the magic of the labyrinth. So, I know all this stuff is real. You know all this stuff is real. It's like
I've been there. It really is magic.
yeah, and they've been killing
Yeah.
people for saying that it's real and that they've got it. So interesting if they are now going to do an volte face, possibly in the face of all the criticism and loss of respect for them in their neglectful and harmful behavior over the last thousands of years.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Harry,
Interesting
can someone
times.
find something out about Well, I guess we're going to find out if the portal's open. The bells are ringing. We suddenly
If
find
I
ourselves.
find if I find the information on it, I shall share it. But I whizzed past it. I was like, ugh, no, the Pope, ugh, ugh, no, the Church. So, but yeah, but it's since then it's sat in my mind, going, this is interesting.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
still waiting to hear more from you on the aliens under the sea. I've got great kind of hope.
Well,
Oh, well, yeah, yeah. Well,
well. So
Wow.
now in America, there's all these drones everywhere, and they're going, oh, we don't know what it is or where it's from. It's like, you're America. If you didn't know what they were from, you would blow them out the sky because, was it the CIA said there's this Project Bluebeam where they're going to use mechanics and holograms to make us think there's an alien invasion to ship us all off to something or other. So we're not playing that game. But there was also a load of people on social media saying about a week ago there was going to be an alien war in the sky. And everyone was like, brilliant, bring it on. I'm not going to pay my bills. I'm going to sit and wait for this to kick in. I'm going to go to work tomorrow. And then
free TV.
happened.
It's just like a show, real
And
show.
nothing
Exactly.
happened.
Everyone was like, but then nothing happened. We were like, oh, that's bollocks.
Oh.
So what else? You have to take everything with a pinch of salt. 'Cause it's like, where's the source of this information from? What are they basing this on? Because anyone can go, I've channeled a thing. It's like, well, I could say I've channeled Father Christmas.
Yeah.
And he's real, and we're all getting a new
Yeah.
sofa for Christmas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could say anything.
You could
So-
say anything and
Yeah.
anybody would believe you, or some people will not. My son's very fond of quoting fact checkers at me, and I'm just like, oh God, please,
But you get to
please.
test it against your own intuition. But you're right, because where do some of these people that have made it as these big gurus, where's the separation from ego to channel? And that's,
Yeah.
what happens if they don't have a message, but there's so much pressure on them to have a message because everyone's waiting for a message. It's like the artist that's been told they've got to produce 10 canvases in a time frame, and it's like takes all the magic out of it because someone's trying to impose a restriction on the magic.
Yep.
So
It's very
Yeah.
hard to pick out the charlatans from the genuine. So
you
Yeah,
just,
I think, but that's we have to trust our intuition. Like,
yeah,
you
does
just-
it sound believable or does it sound fantasy? And also we create our own reality anyway, don't we? So
and how much of it is stuff that you want to hear?
yeah.
well, I've
You hear
always,
people channeling stuff, and I go, I would really like if that would happen. But because you're watching it, you then see more of it, which then reinforces it's going to happen because they said it's going to happen. Like you said I was going to win the lottery, and I bought a ticket, and then I didn't win. But 3 of you said I was going to win. Do you know what I mean? So you're creating that
yeah,
false reality for yourself as well.
The law of, what was it, assumption?
of
Of assumption.
yeah, and confirmation bias
Yeah.
or something.
You have
like
to be
that.
careful what you
Something
believe.
like that. Well, yeah, I mean, I've always had an issue with this whole creating your own reality thing because you're actually in the world with all these other people who are also creating the reality. So you can't create their reality for them. They're in here with you. So we all have our own observations. And I think my son and I just are on a different plane now, completely different plane. It's like he doesn't see what I think is the reality. And he thinks I'm completely mad. It's really hard.
I had that with my family too.
We're still going to, thank God I've got my daughter who is on the same page,
Well, we are all on different planes, and I think that's okay because that creates the richness of life. Because if we were all, I know it'd be great if we were all spiritual and everyone was, love and peace. That would be great. But I just don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So you have these layers of consciousness, and so it's the people around you are bound to be on different layers.
It's
We
fine.
can't,
Yeah, they
It
can't
sounds like there's a hierarchy there, though, and I'm not sure I like that.
do it that way instead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have a flat, you can have
yeah.
but there is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Well, you vibrate higher, don't you? So it's
Well, yeah, we do.
it's
That's the thing.
metaphorical.
Oh God, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I just worry that, how you do with your kids. You think, are you ever going to wake up?
Or
You think,
maybe he's like,
Is
he
he
won't.
ever going to wake up? He just believes all the mainstream.
but that's okay. Well, it might not be as a parent, but I have one like that and one who's not as well. It's kind of just the law of the averages.
And that's his
Mm,
journey, and he's maybe got a few lifetimes to live yet.
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe a younger soul, perhaps.
I don't know. I think he's an old soul. I've always thought that. I
He
think
should know
he's,
better then, shouldn't
I think, yes, I think he needs a slap.
he? Maybe he's got some
But
old karma to play out this
but
time.
well, I think he's shut things down. He's
Okay.
deliberately shut things down.
Mm.
And there's nothing I can do about this. You're absolutely right. But I'm just saying it's hard.
I think a lot of parents feel like that.
Mm.
And a lot of people feel like that about their families because it has created
Mm.
this divide.
Hmm.
And that is what,
The deliberate
or
divide and conquer business. And I won't have them win. They won't bloody win. Love will win through. We still love each other in spite.
exactly. Love always wins, so it's got the highest vibration.
Yep, exactly. That's the most important message. Yeah.
On that note.
So I was waiting for you to say that.
Is there
That's
anything
spicy
anyone wants to
note.
add before we end?
No, I'm chewing nicotine gum. This is the last thing I'll say because when you lose your sense of smell, I've had the flu recently. If you follow the nicotine gum protocol, you take 3 nicotine gums, like one, 3 times a day is what I'm trying to say, for 3 days, chew it for about 10 minutes, and it should return your sense of smell.
So that's interesting because my mum
Oh.
has lost her sense of smell for years now. Would that work for her?
Ask her to try it.
Oh, that is so interesting.
But it's because we have these nicotine receptors in the brain. It's just like a bit of a clear up. I found it actually really beneficial. I have to be very careful I don't get addicted. It's highly addictive.
Mm,
Don't give it to anyone that's got addictive issues.
mm.
She used to be a
And
smoker.
I can unaddict them with some hypnotherapy.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay, then, guys. Thank you very much. We'll hope to see you in a couple of weeks, which is the 27th. We'll discuss it and we'll let you know. We'll
Yeah,
see you
we
when we
might be
see
here for
you.
them, but we might not.
Okay.
Providing there's not a big hole in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Well, yes.
Oh,
Or the
well.
aliens haven't invaded.
Love,
Love, love.
love, love. Bye.